Playing football in college was unexpected. I didn't think I was going to get to play football in college, and just being able to have that opportunity was great. And being a part of a team at the college level, having to go to classes, it's almost like what you see in the movies. It's like, man, I'm here right now. And so once I left college, it's like, man, I had structure and didn't even know it. It was having everything lined up for you, knowing what to do, knowing where to go and what time you had to leave there. And it was very beneficial. Like I didn't need to think about anything. It was just show up and do what you had to do, and then you get to leave. And so once you get into, once I got into the real world, I was like, man, and I don't even notice it. It's like, I don't even notice it. Leaving college ball and having to get a 9 to 5, I just thought that was just the way to go. I just thought that was what you did. And so my first job was a logistics job. I was a logistics coordinator. So I would call truck drivers, I would call different stores and get ETAs, set appointments. And I was around, yeah, like around 20, 21. I would say like 22. And I was probably the youngest person there. Everybody was in their 30s. Maybe there was like one other college grad, but everybody had families. Everybody had bigger problems, And so it was a pretty laid back job. You're just on the phones talking to people. So you didn't have to like really dress a certain way. I came in jeans and a collared shirt, and it was pretty laid back. They had the snacks in the office. Stay eating the food in the office, and there wasn't really much growth at that job. But it was like a stable, constant paycheck. So I had a little freedom there, and it was different. It was like having to wake up, go to work, drive to work, and just be a part of a new team. Like we was USA Truck, working to make sure people got to where they need to be. I feel like I'm already a sociable person, so talking to truck drivers, some of them got kind of lonely, so he was always wanting to have conversations. I felt pretty good with the job, and the day that they let me go, man, I used to joke all the time with my mom, like, "Oh, mom, they fired me today." She's like, "What?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm just joking." Until the day they actually didn't fire me, but let me go because they had to cut back. And so let me go, and I just sat in my car and I was crying. I felt like I got cut from the team. I felt like I didn't do my part. They tell you like you did a good job, and that we just have to cut back, and your position is no longer needed. Just that feeling of like not being needed. Makes you feel like, man, they don't even care. Like the money, like now I have to go look for another job. It's like you had all these plans for the future with you being there, and it's like, and then it kind of made me think like this is a new part of the world I'm entering. Like this is what it's about. This is what corporate is. If things don't go right, your position is not always safe. And it was like football. Your position is not always safe. You gotta constantly show up and improve like that's your position. But in this case, it was different. It's like they didn't need me, and so my position was like go. And that was I was there for about a year and a half. And during that time, I had gotten into a pretty bad scooter accident, near death experience. I was out with my brother and a friend one night and got on a scooter to go home, told my brother, "Hey man, we got to right down the street." I said, "I'll beat you there." He had got on the slowest scooter. He got on the slowest scooter. So he wasn't even with us. Like I had left him because I was just zooming down the street. And next thing I know, I just wake up in the hospital. My brother's sitting outside the hallway, holding on to one of my shoes, just hugging it. He's feeling guilty because he wish he could have been there. Maybe him being closer, it would have prevented the incident. And I was messed up my knee, broke my elbow, had to relearn how to walk. I was in the hospital for 5 days. And having to relearn to walk and go to physical therapy to learn how to talk again. And being in that environment with other people who had similar injuries or just had been in like pretty bad accidents as well. Just knowing, I felt like it's a pretty like depressing environment to be in, and some people were like stuck like that. And for me, it made me feel like I wasn't as in that condition. Like I came out and I was able to walk, like I'm good to go. And so I didn't really see it as a bad experience, like that bad of an experience, because I came out of it okay, like just little bumps and scratches. And once I got the rehab and everything, I was good to go. And just talking to other people, and they say, man, they just made it the way they talked about it. It's like, man, y'all talking about it too serious, man. It's okay, I'm here now. But it was a pretty bad time, and I never looked at it as such a traumatic experience. And I feel a lot of the things that happened afterwards came from that incident that I never really sat with. I just moved on and tried to like pick back up where life had stopped at. But my whole life changed after that incident, and I really didn't even think about it. And just moving on from the incident and trying to really figure out who I was after football, not having structure, having to find a new job, being injured after the scooter accident. I didn't realize how much was going on and how much I suppressed. And I feel like that's why a lot of things happened after the incident that I never really sat with and really addressed. So feeling lost, having that lack of identity, not knowing who I was. You leave football, you still think you're a football player. Now you just say I'm a washed up football player. You still put football player is a part of you. Like, man, that was my life. Football was a part of my life for so long, and for me to no longer be a part of it, I had to find some way to keep it. So I joined flag football just to just to keep it going. Like it's like me not letting it go. And I had some injuries, some pulled hamstrings, and it was a point where I was like, man, I gotta stop. I gotta stop. I can't move like I used to. You used to move so much back then, and now you go to sitting still, moving a certain way, and then you just get back up and move like you did back in college, and that's not the case. And so just having to sit with that and knowing that I want to work out. I mean, I never stopped working out, but I couldn't work out like I used to. I wanted to look a certain way, and I had to change how I ate. I had to really lock in with the food, and so that's one of the things that was a big game changer for me. So during my journey on trying to find myself, I found myself wanting to look a certain way. During football, you all cut up because you used to run all the time, you used to work out, you used to eat whatever. I used to eat whatever, man. In the calf, I used to go in the line about 2 or 3 times. I'm eating cookies like almost every day. I used to have Chick-fil-A every Monday, large fry, spicy McChicken, large fry. Had to have the Chick-fil-A sauce with a large lemonade. And that was my go-to every Monday. Every Monday. And you know what? I could probably eat that for a week straight. I eat that for a week straight and probably look the same. I used to eat like 2 rows of cookies almost every night. And I'm drinking. I'm in college. I'm drinking every weekend. I made sure never during the week, but like on the weekends, man, I used to go crazy. And the body was still looking good. I mean, it was really chasing the physical. Like I looked good, so I thought I didn't need to change anything when I left school. And so I ate the same, maybe drank a little more than in college, and the body definitely started showing. I mean, I still worked out, but I was drinking heavy. Crown was probably one of my biggest things. Crown, Ciroc, really just trying to fit in. I'm drinking what everybody's drinking on. The Crown with the Sprite, Ciroc. I'm supporting. Man. Anyways, no Diddy. I was really outside. I was outside every weekend, and I liked feeling good, so I stayed drinking. I was smoking a little here and there. Never really serious with the smoking. Just if it was around. Well, there was a time where I had got pretty into smoking for about like 2 or 3 years. But yeah, I was really drinking. And then I had cut back on the drinking, and I think that's when the smoking started increasing as well, because I started trying to eat better. I was watching, I was being more mindful of what I ate. And I didn't like really cooking much, so I would eat like just chicken sandwiches all the time because it was quick. Just grilled chicken in the George Foreman and throw some cheese on top between some bread. And then I would just make sure I don't drink that much. And that's when the smoking picked up. And then that's when I would smoke, and then I would get the munchies. And that's when I would just eat chips, candy, cookies. And then, I was still working out. I don't think I was like as serious as wanting to like really like get super straight. I was just going with I was still trying to figure out like who I was, myself, and where I wanted to go. And so when I really like locked in, when I really found out like, yeah, I gotta start working out more specific. I gotta eat better. It was just watching YouTube, and I saw this dude named Simeon Panda, and I was like, man, I want to look like that guy. And I just knew I gotta change what I eat, how I work out. I can't just go in the gym and I used to go in the gym and do random stuff, and I used to do abs every day, thinking that that's how I keep my stomach small. Like I used to get compliments all the time about my abs, so I was just like, man, I gotta keep the abs up. As long as I keep the abs. And so when I locked in, whenever I like decided to get serious with the working out, I did research. I realized I had to watch what I ate. I was like, man, I gotta I saw a lot of people. I was watching Greg Doucette, and he was talking about tracking food, track your food if you wanted to really take it serious. And so that's what I did. And like once I started tracking, I realized the food I was eating, it was healthy, but I was eating too much of it. I was getting heavy into peanut butter and apples. I would eat that like crazy. I was eating like half a tub of peanut butter a day. And I'm thinking like, oh, it's healthy. It's healthy food. So let me just go ahead and just stick with this. There'd be days where I just only ate that, and I would eat half a tub of peanut butter. And at that time, I was working out. I had a good routine going with the workouts. I would work out twice a day. I would go to the gym. I would do legs, and then afterwards, I would go to a field and I would run hills. I was doing cardio, and I was working out pretty hard. I was working out like I was trying to go to the league. Like I was training for something. And when I would step on that scale and I would see like I lost like half a pound. I'm like, what is going on? Like I'm working out too hard. And looking back, I just wish I would have dialed in sooner on knowing what to eat and knowing how to track and and that consistency. Because really, once I figured out how that I had to turn the peanut butter around and see the calories and knowing what calories are and how to measure your food. Once I saw that and I changed that up, I started seeing results almost like pretty instantly, and the confidence grew. It allowed me to stay consistent because I'm seeing the results, and it was pretty. It was I was pretty strict. I was pretty like I wouldn't even eat sauce on my salad. I would eat the salad dry. I wouldn't put ranch or anything. I wouldn't eat sauce on my chicken. I was pretty like I want to get these results, and so I was pretty cut up. I got to a point to where I was like pretty shredded, and I can't remember when, but there was a point in time where I was like, man, I can enjoy myself. I need to relax a little bit, and so I would get like one cookie, and then that cookie would turn to the whole pack of cookies, and I'm going crazy with the food. I would overeat. There'd be nights where I start craving food. I used to live across the street from the CVS. I would go across the street, grab some candy, grab some chips, come back home, then go back out, eat, go get some cookies and cream, ice cream with some hot Cheeto puffs, and my stomach would be so tight. And this would happen pretty often. It was like every other weekend, and then Sunday comes after that Saturday of eating like that, and I would starve myself and work out extra hard the next day. And then, throughout the week, comes Thursday, I'm back to normal. I'm all tight, cut up abs. People never know, like, I just did all that the last weekend. And so I'm feeling good, and I would do it again. And then I stumbled across a video, somebody talking about binge eating. And then they started describing it. And I was like, oh, man, that's me. That's what I'm going through right now. Like, I'm going crazy with the food. And so then I brought it to my brother's attention. I was like, hey, man, I think I'm binge eating. Come on, Jock, look at you, man. You all big, and you deserve it, man. You working out, And shout out to my brother, man. He always showing that love and support. He's like, man, you ain't got no problem. You got no problem, man. You look, you all ripped up. And so, I didn't like really like take that. I just knew what he was doing. He just that's him being a brother. Just I don't know, just growing up, and like, none of us ever actually like had like a problem. So it's like me with a problem, nah. I had to just sit with it. I had to accept that binge eating was me. Like I struggled with binge eating. Like even accepting it and then still like battling it. Like even though I knew I had it, it's like now I have it. It's gonna go away. That's not it. I still struggle with it, and so I just had to slowly incorporate my favorite foods without having to like overeat. And I made plans for me to enjoy myself without going overboard and making sure my favorite foods fit into my meal plans whenever I did eat a certain way. And I feel like that was probably one of a big step because nobody ever knew. And me looking a certain way, people just like, man, that boy's perfect. He does not fall off track. He is super disciplined. I mean, I am disciplined too, you know what I'm saying? But like we all struggle sometimes. And that's one thing I had to be comfortable letting people know. Like I was binge eating. And once I let people know, I found out when I was looking up binge eating, like about how many fitness people actually do kind of struggle with it. Not kind of, who actually do struggle with it. And knowing that, it made me feel a little better about myself, like, because I did feel like I was the only one struggling with it. And it came a time where I was like, man, I don't know. I didn't even like really think it was a problem. I just thought it was just something that just everybody just go. I just went through. Like I was just something different. And just knowing that kind of made me like look up ways on how to overcome it. It allowed me to research what it actually was and how to overcome it. I thought that was a big part of my like fitness journey, and just me finding myself like I found myself like eating. Like when it comes to the eating, it's like, man, I used to be able to eat whatever I wanted and look a certain way, still look a certain way. Before, as I got older, and now that I'm not in football, I can't eat the same way. And I never really sat and thought about if that was, one of the reasons why. But I really feel like when I started my fitness journey, I was super strict, and that's what made me start binge eating. Whenever I did try to incorporate some cookies or chips into my diet, where I tried to like eat like a little snack, and then it even changed. I even started only grabbing like a little bit. Like I'll go to a birthday party or some kind of gathering, eat a little bit, but then when I go home, I'll stop somewhere and get even more. And just knowing that, I'm not the only one going through it. It helps to know, like, you talk to other people about it, and some others may have went through similar things, and they tell you what they've done, and you try to incorporate ways on how to involve your favorite foods into your diet. And I feel like that helped a lot. And really just staying on track, having goals. I really wanted to lock in on my physique and taking care of myself, and knowing that I wanted to become a better person. And so knowing who I wanted to become, I had to dial in. I had to sit with myself and figure out who I wanted to become. I had to let go of thinking that I could just eat whatever I wanted and still look a certain way. I had to think of a new way of living now, because I'm no longer in football. I need to rebuild that structure because I'm out here just lost. And so I incorporated the sweat goal system. It really allowed me to rebuild my structure, allow me to work out in different ways that helps me, allows me to lock in with my food that's going to support my goals and what I want to accomplish. And I'd known that I had to do that. And so I have my sweat goal system. It's for recreating that structure. You're feeling lost after playing football. You're entering the real world. There's your body's catching up with you. You look in the mirror and you're like, man, I let myself go. And that's where I was at. And when I installed the sweat goal system into my life, it works out in 4 phases. You got the first phase. You're figuring out, trying to rebuild that structure. You're trying to have that foundation. And then with the second phase, you're going into keeping that momentum going, with the structure and that consistency. Want to rebuild that trust within yourself to know that you can do it, that you can do these hard things. And then the third phase, you're looking at what you have done in the past and reflecting on the patterns and looking within yourself and figuring out why you do the things you do, as well as incorporating those non-negotiables in those consistent efforts that you've been making in those first 2 phases. And then the fourth phase, making that into a lifestyle, making it sustainable to where it's like clockwork. Like you can trust that when life gets hectic, that you're still going to be able to stay on track, because this is a part of you now. It's a lifestyle. And if you're feeling like you're lost, you feel like you're just going all over the place, and then you get overwhelmed to a point to where you don't make any moves, this sweat goal system is for you. And it helps identify who you are, why you are doing the things you're doing, and making this into a lifestyle, so that you're able to become the person you want to be. We used to do hard things all the time, and it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be rewiring. It's going to be being uncomfortable. We run all the time. We're doing workouts. We're getting uncomfortable in football. We're learning new plays, new techniques. We're just doing things that's going to put us in a position to where we're not going to be at our best, and that's okay, because we're not going to grow from it. And that's what this is. We're going to grow from it because we know it's going to make us better. And so if you're wanting to be a better you, if you are supposed to be in a different place right now, if man, I got what it takes, I just need to know how, I just need some guidance, I need some structure, and the sweat goal system is for you. And do not hesitate. You can reach out, you can DM me, you can shoot me a message, and we can lock in and we can see how I can help you out. We can book a call and we can set it up and we can get this thing rocking and rolling.